And today I've got a view an oil short from yesterday, the 11th of June. It's all about sort of mapping a certain area or zone, shall I say. It's something I've been looking at for a couple of days. Just a little area that I feel like once you trade through it, or an area where it's being absorbed or there's not much energy and the market's just being naturally sort of picked back up, I'm sort of then looking for some sort of change and some sort of breakout from that point onwards. So that's what I want to show you today, like sort of how I've structured the trade, say over the last 2 days, and how it's sort of set up by just looking at the past couple of days of looking at it, how it's structured, and then from coming forward. Then I'll show the execution of the trade, like sort of three main parts. Sort of how I execute, putting the size on, just on the way that trade pulled back, and how tight my risk was in the end. This is where I felt like I was wrong if it come straight back through here, and just the end of it and how I sort of exit the trade, which I didn't exit in the best sort of manner, if that makes sense. Sort of got out too much of it too early, before you get that final flush. And the last thing is just on how I can, what can I improve on? What did I do that wasn't correct yesterday? And sort of what areas I can improve on. But so to begin with, this was yesterday morning. So yesterday morning I come in and I noticed this little area we've got here, sort of this little like triangle type structure. We had a little false breakout, come back in, and what I was looking for on this day, on Tuesday, was a possible break back below here, back inside this little area, and we go down, continue the down move. But instead we got this rally which then fails, comes back, and then this was the overnight on Wednesday. We've just got this sideways overnight, which again is sort of holding just above this area. So again, the market seems to just be getting picked up around sort of the main area, like I put here. I think this is your key area, that area I mapped on that day. We do hold the previous lows that we bounced back up to. Like I say here, I felt like the buyers were much stronger because the market's going back up. So at this current time, the buyers are currently stronger than the sellers until we get through this area and the sellers want to push through. So again, this is what I do on a daily basis every morning. So again, the same sort of structure is that we had rejection of the previous lows. We had sort of this value area here, where we went sideways for a while. Currently, the overnight session is holding this VPOC. So then, what I'm looking for is a break below here, and then you got this double bottom, then through this big value of like 2 days. What we've got. So that's what I'm thinking. So once you trade through here, we knife through, and my target was about 36 double O, sort of an interaction zone where we keep touching upon previously in sort of this area here. So that was again my structure for that day. And again, I set up here, rejects the lows, comes back mid-range, sort of closing here, and again in the middle of, when you're stuck in the middle of sort of all of this, it's very hard to pick some clear direction. You want to find something you can lean onto. You don't just want to buy or sell directly in the middle, because you can only go sideways you can only just go sideways, or you'll be wrong or right, or you'll be just getting chopped. So there's sort of 2 or 3 scenarios if you're just going to do that. So again, I thought you had to wait until, if you get below here, look at what the reaction you got at that 70s to 80s area. So then coming into today, again, I'm still mapping the same thing. We get this push higher, we fail, and then we come back, and again we sort of open drive down back into this little value zone that we've got for the past 3 days. And again, I'm just mapping that area that which we held just above, just above sort of 80s to 70s is that key zone. So what I'm thinking of is that, okay, if we break today's low and we can trade lower, you want to be aggressive in this zone. Target, again, I targeted in the end. It's just kept it simple, and then eventually we did knife all the way straight through this. So the whole trade and everything was in a way perfect in a way. But again, it's exactly, I'm just mapping the same thing. It's just building it day by day. So this has taken one day to structure that idea, another day to then build on more structure. And again, you want to lean on the technicals of, open drive, any pullback, you can sell the pullback, and we go back down, which is exactly what we got today. But I didn't start selling until we got back down to sort of this area. So chart form is, this is just an hourly chart. So again, this is that value point, which once you break sort of these two lows, we should knife straight through sort of this area where we keep holding sort of 36 just below. So we had this little trend line in, I drew, so sort of head and shoulders again, sort of what I was drawing here. So once you through all this, we've failed here. We had this little high volume node which we touched pretty much like to the tick, and then we've come back off. You're looking for that sort of break lower. This was something I was very cautious of, is when I was short, is that I'm sort of selling in this area, which is literally nearly on the line of, there's a chance this could bounce. That's what I had in my mind at that point, realizing that, okay, now we're running into a trend line. Are we going to break, or are we going to bounce and then we're going to go in the cash? So that's what I was sort of thinking. There's and then once through here, you should see quite a big move down. So this is what we got, more on a 15-minute time basis. We got that break of the trend line, we got the break of this key area, and eventually we got that sort of knife move down. This high volume node we sort of rejected. So you got this little range up here, high volume node of that, we rejected that, come back in, and then we looked at the downside. Very sort of head and shoulders, simple formation, which is quite nice. You've got that to lean on as well. So adding all these sort of things up. Again 5-minute structure just on these 3 days. Is again, you're just looking at mapping these sort of areas. Again, you got the move up. You had, what I drew over sort of like, so this is like sort of Monday's day. So I'm looking at where sort of value is, or where these high volume zone is. So the high volume zone is what we got here of the week. We broke away from it and come back, and then all we've done is just knifed straight through, looking to then play the break of this area. It takes its time, and then we've got the trend break. We stalled around it, which is expected. You're expecting it to stall at an interaction point where buyers will meet sellers. People are going to try and buy the trend line, and then eventually we get the follow through down. So again, like I was saying here, is mapping this area for 2 days, noticing how every time you're trading these prices, you didn't have the energy, you're looking for the energy, and then the buyers are easily picking it up. So the difference is, sort of from today's perspective, is what I'll explain in a minute, is this is what I was leaning on as well. Something else to lean on is when these equities are coming off as well, and oil is following. The correlation is there between the S&P and oil. But today is what I was actually trying to do, is I ended up a bit higher up in here, this little area. I'll just briefly talk about it. I was actually trying to buy in here, and what I was noticing is that I notice this a lot. When I'm wrong, I can see I'm wrong. I can see it. I was short, I think, in this area first. So I got short in here, and my stop above here. So I was at a 15 tick stop. Got it on side, and we come straight back, and I thought, okay, this isn't going to be, we're going down, and it's choppy, it's not very nice. So then I thought, okay, the energy, it wasn't really great. The volume on the day was low, so I thought, okay, we start buying instead, so we're going to get the drift back up. And we never got that. All I was doing was buying, and I ended up taking a loser, I believe, in here. I think at 90s. Bought again, and I took another loser in this spike down. And then what I was realizing, every time I was buying 95s, 96s, just wouldn't trade above. So eventually I cut reversed, got short, had my stop, nice tight stop above here, I think it was, above 95s, 96s, where we're just trading it, and it's just falling back each time. Then I work my position in here, and then I'm looking to play the break of the 73s, which would be hold, and then eventually we get the follow through. So this was the part where I got all my size on in here, managed to trade well in here, got on side, and I let it come all the way back, took something out in here, and I let it roll over. And this was the area where I started getting out of everything else before I took something all the way down here to my target, which was 37s, double O's. So that's what I was looking for, and what I was leaning on is that I could see S&P coming off. Stocks doesn't really do it much. I'm just doing the circle. The blocks is sort of where I was being involved in in the oil, and you can sort of see that, you know, SPU does exactly the same, just holds these areas, and then eventually you sort of get that clean break which we got in oil. So I just wanted to put these three charts together just so you can see that something else to lean on. You know, you got Delta coming off, not, you know, Delta a little bit coming off here, stocks was doing the same, so you're leaning across all these like little correlations you've got, you know, as well. So if you're seeing SPU come off, is what I was seeing is that oil was very easily getting sort of picked up in here. Once SPU bounced, oil was getting picked up, and I'm, you know, you're sitting through all the hard work in here, which I did, to then only take minimal here. I should be leaving everything on. Once you're through here, you leave everything on, and you know, we keep going. Footprint wise, this is what we got. You know, like I was saying last week, I changed my footprint back to how I had it before. There's a little bit probably too much noise going on here at times, but just getting back to used to how I used to have it. So my first short was in here, scratch that. And again, this is something else. I was noticing that when I'm going long, it's something I didn't notice until actually afterwards. Is Delta's just going down, 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 down in the, you know, 6 rotations. Delta's is negatively going down. So that should really clue me up, is that, okay, there are sellers here. Like I say here, there are sellers here. You know, you're watching the price action, you're on the wrong side. And when I'm on the wrong side, I see things much clearer than when I'm actually on the right direction. It's just, I don't know, something, it's just something I seem to do, is that I seem to notice things better when I'm on the wrong side. And then I'll get short, good entry. Then I start to work the position as we go lower. And you know, you look. This is the line of, this was the daily low at 73s. Looking for the break of there. We did get quite a bit of like churn, two-way trade before. Pull back, hold this little low volume here, and then we continue. So again, just quickly, the daily low, little bit low volume point. You know, we did pull back, and we did, you know, it absorbed everything for, you know, 9-10 minutes. This bit felt very uncomfortable, that my average price was basically here, right at the top of this, and you're just flicking between it, tight stop, and eventually we get the follow through. And this is maybe something I didn't do during the trade, is that I was watching price action too much and I didn't look at what the footprint was doing. Again, just leaning on those other tools. Something else to improve on is just, you know, not panicking. I was in this trade for a good half an hour plus, I'm just leaning and looking at the other tools. What's everything else doing? I think sometimes I get caught up in the moment too much, and looking at, you know, the prices and what they're doing. That's why I ended up getting out here, in here when this broke, and we quick move back. You know, it was 44 seconds, so I didn't need to do that. Didn't need to start getting out of everything here before we come off. Small block again, and then we get some stops that get hit. And again, another sort of good point is that, you know, you finally, in these grind moves in oil, I noticed so many times they will grind their way down, and eventually you will get that 5-minute candle, which is about 30-40 ticks, and it just flushes down where everyone just sort of gives up trying to buy this, and then you get paid well. This is the area, like I say, this is the area I covered. No need to do it. As I just panicked, you know, because I'm thinking that I've just let it pull back 20 ticks. Let's try and bank some more. When, you know, my mind really should be saying, no, don't get out now. Once you're through here and we keep going, you know, this trade's really on. This is going to keep going. And this is just what happened. The stops is just wanted to show you what the stops would look like. So my target was sort of 37.07. So in here was that low. So I managed to get out there, which is quite nice. And that's what the stops just look like. Just want to quickly just stick that in. And one more thing, this is the Renko chart with something else I was looking at, and this is, again, when I'm long in this area, it's just showing you what are you doing. You shouldn't be long in here. The deltas, I had to scrunch this up so we could fit it all in, but you know, you're selling up here, no need to be long. Delta's turning, and it continues. You know, this was that pullback, which, you know, I was looking at this little bit of buying, which did panic me a little bit, but then the selling really comes in, and then we go and keep going. You know, 165 tick move from the top, selling from in here, you know, getting out down here. You know, I executed everything really well on the trade. So I just want to finally, I will then quickly now sort of just show you the execution of everything. What I want to show you is that, I know I'm in the trade already, but I just want to show you myself just getting everything on the trade. And just how I manage it. So I want to show you this bit to begin with. So I'll do it on, I think I've done it on 1.5 times speed. So just want to talk to you what I'm thinking at this point. So after obviously being long a couple of times, and I know I shouldn't have been, so I ended up getting short. And I know from the fact that how this is trading is that you're getting new lows and you're getting the squeeze each time back higher. So what I'm sitting there thinking is that then this should now eventually I should be selling passively on this, and this is obviously the low, and I think, well, you can definitely be aggressive in this low. You've got SPU and stocks both at their lows at this point. So these are the main three you want to be looking at. Unless you try and sell more, SPU obviously keeps going. It gives you that conviction that there is something else there. So I'm just being passive with this, just understanding it. I know you're going to get rotations against me, and that my stop is 95, 96, just above there. So maybe you've got 10 ticks of risk here, and my plan was to hit something through the 73s and then see what reaction we get, and if we get low volume then sell the pullback, not be too aggressive and go massive into sort of the 73s. I felt like you could have got a spike, but again, what I'm sitting here looking at is that you've got the equities at their lows, which is just exactly what you want to see. Just to double check, is on 1.5 times, that's fine. Ooh. So again, I'm just sitting here thinking, well, this is fine. I do feel a little bit uncomfortable just because I've been long, and the offer's really like sort of sticky, like, if you see what I mean. It's just rotating back, but the selling does come back in. This is where you want to be looking at your tools more, especially looking at your tools and leaning on those. This is when your eyes can come away, but then obviously you want to execute well, so you want to be executing in the right sort of manner, and how you want to be doing it the right way. So for me, I'm just keeping my calm, just trying to understand what's going on. Okay, we know we're going to get these rotations. How are we going to offer down to these 73s? What's going to happen? So you get a bit of a quick move. So again, I sell the 73s as we come off. There's a bit of momentum here, as you can see. There's a bit of momentum. You're going to expect something at these 73s. What are we going to get? Now we're going a bit more. So as you see, we've got this little low volume point here from where my price is to sort of these 73s. You've got this little gap, and you get a bit of interaction at these 73s, and the 73s sort of hold. But what I'm thinking is that, well, I see this a lot where it will hold a certain price where a buyer just needs to get something away, and they're just going to hold and hold and hold. And once then you get back through to the downside and they are finished their business, you can then go again. So what I was willing to do is then, okay, as this was happening, I was like, okay, don't do what you would normally do here, Harry. Is then what I would normally do is end up selling 69s, 68s, 70s, where just be passive and let it come to you. Let it come to you. Sell the 73s or 74s, and then be passive. Just watch the market hold these below this area. If it doesn't want to hold below, then okay, fair enough. The trade's sort of, in my opinion, over, but you want to see the reaction below this, and obviously you get the equities bounce again. This is what I was wary of. The equities kept bouncing every time, so you had to then be passive with the oil until you do get that final flush. So as I'm noticing it, it's just doing in a small little range. So again, just ask yourself the question: where else can I add into this trade? What was your plan? My plan was definitely to be aggressive through the 73s. I may not be looking aggressive, but I was sort of understanding of what was going on. Is that I can be passive. Something I don't do enough, where I'm selling here and I'm dragging my average price down, incorrectly, and then I definitely wouldn't have made as good enough, P&L on the trade if I was doing it the old way of me, by hitting these lows and dragging your average price down to these 73s when you're chopping yourself up a bit. So again, sort of through this, I was looking at sort of the 1 minute chart, what that was doing, and it was sort of creating a little like 1 minute flag at one point. So I was just willing to, then okay, when I play, then I was sort of thinking, well, okay, I'll play the 1 minute flag structure. Is another sort of thing I was looking at. Okay, I'll play the little 1 minute flag, where we're holding you know, creating a little sideways, we'll play the break of that. Just something else to keep yourself in the trade. You know, it's creating that sort of structure again for you. So get filled up 73. So in with 6. So again, we're still below the 73, 74, 75s. So I'm still, you know, still okay on the trade. Not an issue. You know, it's fine here, you know, a bit of, you know, 46, 45 lots. This is something else I was looking at. A bit of size, if some size comes in. And this is another bit of price action. You get that little flick up in the oil here, back up to 76s. And now your stops really then be up above, you know, up here now, above 76s. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, now you flicked up. Can we, you know, we're going to offer back down. Again, a bit of that 40 lots each side coming back on the coming on the offer. Not much on the bid here either. So you know you got that somebody's holding that market ups, and then Spoo's bouncing a little bit. Then you do get this little quick move down, if you see what I mean. So then I'm trying to, then I got filled, I think 69s, I think here, or 68s. And you get that quick move. So then that was sort of the break of that little 1 minute flag I was explaining. That's where it was. So then I'm thinking, okay, now my stop is, I'm quite tight here. You know, I've got say 4 tick stop. Now I felt like this move had to go. So I had a little bit to scale out. Sort of 70 53s was the little bottom of some of this little, you know, would have been the bottom of the little wedge that we had from that Tuesday. So now I'm thinking, okay, let's look, how can I maneuver, how can I now, you know, feel right. I know, I still got another couple lots to get away, which I just sat there and go, okay, no, let's not do that now. Now I feel like we're right, and it's not rush and try and add anything more in. We just keep it as 8. You know, now I feel like I've managed to trade well. I'm just sitting there now being patient, looking for this spoo to come back down to the lows, looking for stocks to come back down. You know, you sort of had the bonds rallying all day in the end, so it's sort of a little bit of like a risk off. Gold was rallying again, so you sort of had this like risk off scenario to be going off with as well. And then when the oil was correlating with the spoo, you can lean on that well. So again, you still got a bit of a sticky sort of offer bid, where it's just the bid's just blocking the offer from going. Then I was willing to then just target everything on the way down. So getting into that, so then I do eventually scale something out a bit lower down. Let's fast forward a little bit. Then I was willing to then, you know, just get out of all the 8 on the way down, get lots of nice profit in, you know, for 20 ticks around about that area. Then we look to scale out for the next sort of 50. Okay, so now we come down. I felt like the trade is really on. I thought, oh, you know, this is something I do again. I really felt like, no, let's hold now. I've got 7 lots still in. Let's just hold now. This is going to really sort of like ping lower. Obviously, I panic a little bit. I want to bank something in front of that, you know, like I do here, poorly. And we struggle to offer here. And I'll start messing about with these sort of an OCD thing with the orders. And I'm thinking, let's hold this little 61s, and then we can offer again. Which I generally thought this was going to really go now. Didn't get filled of any of that. Trying to get out some more. Then we got this like really quick bid up. This is what I was thinking. If I was honest, I was thinking, okay, this is not what I want to see. I don't want to see now. This is really picked back up, and you know, we bounce quite aggressively. Like this bounce is quite aggressive. There's not really much of a tick back down. This was sort of a bit worrying for me, but I still had my stop, you know, 79s. So if I fast forward now, have you seen that little quick bid back up? Go to the next bit. Oh, I was already playing through. Anyway, I was already playing through it. It's fine. Still 1.5 times. So again, this is what I was thinking. Again, I was thinking, it's not me, sort of like not me again. That my executed really well. I was thinking, okay, and I was thinking again that on the profile we had single prints came in at 78s, so 77s was the top. So I was thinking, okay, I'm happy here. And what I was doing is that I tried to not watch this sort of bit of price action in a way, because I had the fear of it's just going to stop me out, isn't it? I have that fear of it's the trades now, especially when it's hitting back up like this. I think, okay, it's just going to stop me out. I still take 5 ticks risk. I think this trade's really worth putting the risk on. I made a little bit. What I'm going to do now is sort of give back what I made on these sort of moves down, that 2 lot that I took down there. So again, then I was thinking, okay, so let's see how the 1 minute structure comes into play, and see how that moves. So if we were rotating between sort of 76, 77, and we're trading what I at the time was 70s, we're just rotating in between these two. How if we break below here, this trade's definitely on now to the downside. SPU's coming back down to its low. Stocks is 10 ticks off its low. So again, waiting or being patient, waiting for the SPU to offer, come to its low, and then if oil's coming, again, you're just waiting for the rotation. We're just rotating in between these areas between 69 and 70. And I was like, okay, just be patient and trust your plan and your idea. I didn't actually like it. It just kept rotating higher at this point. It makes you feel very uncomfortable. That again, I've executed this trade really well, and all I'm thinking of is like, just break back below these 70s, 69s, 80, 68 area. See how we trade down. We do get a bit more of a faster movement down. So as we come back down, I'm thinking, okay, so come on, if we can just break through here, definitely the chance to go lower. You're just keeping an eye on the other 2 markets, or mainly the SPU. Just really focusing on that and see how we trade as we go down here. How do we maneuver? And just go 2 times speed. 2 times speed for a little bit. So again, what I was thinking is that okay, oil's up here now, SPU's at its lows. Now we're going to move away, get below this little rotation that we've had, and we're going to see this move come back lower, which is what I was really hoping for at the time. But again, I think we get one more move back up as the S&P really has a quick move up, and again we're back still in this little rotation point. So again, now let's hold those 68s. One last, I think this is the last sort of rotation back up. Then I'm thinking, okay, it needs that little extra bit. Not enough selling going on, and then the bid just can't go back above here. The offer's just stepping back in. You got that bit of size that comes back down. That 30 lot, 40 lot that was here. And now you want to see the change. SPU's back down at its low. Now you want to see this break the 68. Just ways of keeping yourself in the trade and asking yourself questions: is the trade still on, or is it over? How can I manage this? Should I keep holding all this size? It sold the 57 lots there. SPU again back here. You got Bunds at highs, books all at highs. It's sort of like showing the real risk off at the moment. The oil was correlating, which is always what you want to be seeing with this. SPU's really trying to go. I'm thinking, okay, as soon as this gets through around this area, as soon as the buyer steps out of the way, the trade's definitely, it's obviously still on at the moment until we're, until sort of 79s gets traded. That's where I thought I've got really nice tight risk here. This is the right thing to be doing. These 73s are here, no passive buyers are here, and we can go. You got this sort of 67, a bit of size coming in here. As soon as that goes, It's all good. With SPU at the lows, I'm thinking, okay, come on, oil, just just be patient, hold the trade. Yes, it's making you feel uncomfortable, but that's what it wants. That's what it's supposed to do. You're doing all this is all the hard work. Where before now, once it starts to go, you get paid for the rest of it. Then you get that nice little spike there. Now I'm thinking, okay, now let's go. In my opinion, I got out of some more. This is where it gets a bit sticky, and I potentially get a bit more panicky as it comes down to where it wants to. Now it starts to get that fast movement, and you get that flow. Now I'm thinking, okay, now this is really on. Let's now get that spike going. A bit more fast paced. Everything's going. You got all the risk off. Gold's still going up through the day's range. SPU's really hammering it down. Now let's go. And this is something I need to really work on. Is when this is happening. Is you're on side. 25 ticks on side. Now let's not panic and get out of anything. Now I'm out with I've got 2 left now. Where I've got out with another 3. Quite poorly. No need to do this really. Just because it does a little bit of a another bid all the way back up. You don't need. I don't need to be doing that. Now I'm left with 1, and SPU's going. I didn't need to panic there. There wasn't any need to sort of panic and worry. Getting rid of the 120 lots there. The amount of times I've sort of seen this trade happen. You get that. I say it to me and Alex say it a lot. It's that time you need to hold of 10 to 15 minutes where you need to hold everything, and you get that real final flush down. Sometimes it's a point, sometimes it's 30 ticks, 40 ticks. You get constant big 5-minute candles. That's where you just need to put that in your mind. Is like, we do not get out now. Now this is flushing down. We don't need to be getting out. Everything's in line. Starks, SPU, Buns, books, so everything is on. This is where I should still be holding like half my size. Can I now improve on something next time? Is that now can I hold 4 to 53s, and then we hold 4 all the way to 37s. So again, now it's quite simple now. It's easy to then run a 1 lot all the way because it's sort of there's sort of no pressure where you should be stressing yourself. You should still be holding everything here, and then you get that final little flush down, and then I end up sort of fat fingering a little bit. But overall for me on that trade, the execution for me is probably the best I've executed. It's just working on this. Where are we on the Renko? Where are we? Where I panic a little bit is this area. I mean, this is a 3 tick Renko. I think I still have it on, or maybe 4. So that's not a 10 tick rotation yet. If I'm looking at this, I just need to sit there with my arms crossed, telling myself, don't get out. Delta's doing everything. Sometimes I watch the price action too hard and too much, and it talks myself out of getting out of something when you don't need to be. If I could just look off charts and sometimes not, use the ladder sometimes just to keep myself in trades, I should do, because that's getting me out because of the way it's offering. But if you look at the chart perspective and what the chart's done, it doesn't tell you to get out. And this is the area where I start getting out of things. It does one little pullback and then we just straight line. Once you've been put on side here, once you've done that little chony bit at the low, it's got this big delta bar. It's the trade's like spot on. This is really on now. Don't need to get out. That was probably the point of the trade where I should have just gone, okay, I'm right now. Once we break this low and we break this little bit here, once we trade back down to the low, that was the point for me that I should have been like, okay, that's it. We need to hold this and don't get out now. But apart from that, the things that I can improve on, as I've probably explained already, holding more of the size to the target, sort of half of it at least, which should be another improvement. Try and hold all the way, not just a one lot, or scale out. Make sure, okay, we do not get out, we just get ourselves hit on the way down. I did all the hard work. Just need to work on better, as I explained, I did all that hard work on the pullback, letting it pull all the way back. Need to work on better understanding when I'm right and not to get out. What can I use? What can I use to keep myself in the trade? Like I explained, that Renko chart, I could have kept myself in very easily. Yeah, not to watch price action as hard as I do sometimes, and not take that, in a way, like take it to heart, but take too much information from what's going on, from what you're seeing on that second test down. I took too much information out of that, and then not to be so convinced on that, on what it's showing you. Give the market a chance to do your trade and show that you're right, which I gave it a chance, but I didn't understand, when I was right, if that makes sense. Or not to say when you're right, but then to hold the trade, and let the market give it to you and show you what it's going to do, and knowing how I want to exit, because I change my mind a lot when I exit the trade. Like that trade there, I shouldn't be exiting like that at all. I think I should be holding a lot of it all the way, and having that patience and that confidence, and that the stamina to sit through all that pain and then get paid well. It's just having that better stamina throughout the trade. It's something. So it's those sort of like 5 points. A couple points are similar, but for mainly they're the sort of the things that I need to do. The execution for me this time on this trade, I think, is probably, like I say, probably the best I've done. I didn't put myself under too much pressure, only when it pulled back. But I think it's a really good trade to, a bit of momentum, and how that I was sort of wrong beforehand by going against what I was doing, and then noticing that the fact that I eventually was right and took 2 losers in a row in quite quick succession, and then to still cut reverse and still put that size on, and that have that conviction that, okay, this trade is now on. You can understand where you're wrong and really digest on how to execute in a different way, a bit more patiently, understanding that it was very rotational, like at the beginning. How many times I've seen oil do this and other markets do it, where buyers will just pick it up a little bit, but they won't take it up too far. It would then, sellers will come back, and their buyers would be very rotational two-way before buyers give up and you roll over. But again, it's something else you can document in different ways of how things move. And again, mapping areas I find really key. I do it a lot with playing for breakouts. You want to find that key area where those buyers have been, which again, that's where I feel like those 73s to 80s area down to sort of 50s was definitely that area where buyers were picking it up, as you can well see from sort of the price action you get. But that's it from me, guys. Normal information if you want to get in touch, info@axiafutures.com, and I'll be back next week with another stream. Cheers, guys.